Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we break down the week in NBA and WNBA action. As a reminder, you can hear this podcast a day before it can be seen on YouTube by checking Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. I am your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co-host Logan Hatfield. How we doing? Go
We're
ahead,
doing
Logan.
good. We're doing good. So I don't know if Colton had anything he wanted to say there.
Nah, I'm gonna let
No,
Logan go.
good. Good to be back in Kentucky. It's got some interesting things coming up, life wise. So I'll be back on the road again, not for work, but for personal travel next week. And then moving into a new place here within the next 2 weeks. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up in my life. Two got his second MVP last night, which is pretty cool. He has more than a lot of people that kind of shocked me. Looking through that slideshow, he's got more MVPs than Shaq, Kobe, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. So that's kind of insane to think about, but doing great.
Kobe's only got one, huh?
Yeah, Kobe was robbed of the Steve Nash one, but we won't get into
Yeah,
that.
we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But for me, it's been pretty good. Just pretty busy 2 months. I've pretty well packed these next 2 months because I knew I didn't have too much work thanks to the FIFA break. So I pretty much jam packed it with extra work and travel, and got a wedding that I'm going to be a part of. So yeah, it's just going to be a fun 2 months for me. But also, we get this awesome NBA action, awesome WNBA action. So I'm pumped for that as well.
Yeah, not too much going on for me. Got a bit of a vacation, honestly, between day jobs, have a month off unless I find a broadcasting or journalism job. So hoping I find one of those, but not minding the time off for sure. Getting to enjoy some downtime and getting to watch every basketball game now as opposed to just bits and pieces of other ones. So it's been a good time. But let's go ahead and get into it. Another exciting week, both the NBA and WNBA finally in action. So what stood out? Colton, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, so I've made most of my focus NBA wise for the Eastern Conference Finals. I figured I'd save the Western Conference Finals for Mr. Hatfield over there. But I'll have something to say about that. But I consider the Eastern Conference Finals we actually did it both because it's the two teams that preseason were probably number one and number two in the East considered, that we thought would be in the Eastern Conference Finals. They then proceeded to underperform throughout the season, I would say, or at least we'll say stumble their way, had ups and downs. And now they're here with a chance at the NBA Finals, which for the Cavs kind of seems crazy for me. To be fair, the Knicks were here last year. Shout out Tyrese. But the Cavs, it never really felt like they were going to make it here. And they sure tried their hardest not to, 2 7-game series. But they're here. And to start with the Knicks, though, they have actually looked like a buzzsaw. It was a little slow start against the Hawks, but once they turned that corner, it was nasty. Jalen Brunson's doing his thing, but I got to shout out OG Anunoby. I think he is currently the second best player on this team. That might be a little crazy, but 21 points per game on 62% shooting from the field and 53% from beyond the arc. 53%. It is more likely to see this man make a three than miss a three throughout the playoffs. And that's on an average of 5 attempts per game. So he also is active on the boards with about 7 per game. And we all know he is a defensive, not player of the year candidate, but an all defensive player for sure in that category of player. So I also love his timely shot making. He had some really clutch shots against the Hawks. He was out for 2 games against the Sixers, so that is a concern. But he really reminds me of kind of a prime Andre Iguodala kind of X factor that the Warriors had in the back in the day. And I think that he really is going to be the X factor for this team, especially with Mikal Bridges definitely not playing up to expectation when you consider how many picks they traded for him. I think OG Anunoby is really the X factor of this team. I'm not trying to dog on Cat. I just think OG has been that good. Cat has been great. He's been a good, solid big, doing his thing. I'm not trying to discount that, but I just think OG Anunoby has taken another leap, and it really just goes back to his whole career. I look at it and I think of even all the way back to Indiana when he played there. If he would have been healthy, what could that team have looked like? And then comes to the NBA and wins a the championship with the Raptors is a big X factor on that team as well. But I kind of wonder like what his career looks like if he stays healthy for a lot of that. So because that has been his main issue. I think they were being a little more cautious with this hamstring injury, but yeah. So OG Anunoby Glaze aside, the one thing I do worry about this Knicks team, and I have like the inverse with the Cavs, is that they have been on a long break, and we do see sometimes in the NBA and across sports is you get that long break and you come back and it's like, oh, we're kind of a little rusty, especially when you talk about a team like the Cavs who just played a 7-game series. But on the other side of that coin, the Cavs have played 2 7-game series. So it's almost like, could their legs be tired? And if they have to go in through another 7-game series, which is very likely, are they going to have the energy to withstand that from a team like New York who hasn't had to play a 7-game series yet and has fresher legs? You can take it both ways. But to shout out the Cavs, D-Mitch is continuing to show he's a premier playoff performer. James Harden is, doing all right for his playoff standards. He's maintaining his regular season production at least, albeit less efficient. He did have 9 points in Game 7, but Sam Merrill was like, "I got you, bro." 23 piece off of the bench, and Evan Mobley. I will also shout him out because he kind of had some questions around his playoff performance last season. He's definitely doing well, flipping the script on that so far this year. But I do have a little bit about the Pistons, but I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on this Eastern Conference Final so far.
Logan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you kind of took all the words right out of my mouth, actually. My 2 main storylines were the rest versus rust argument, and then also I wanted to talk about the Pistons as well. So I wonder if we have some similar thoughts there. But in terms of the Eastern Conference Finals, humbly will say this was the matchup I picked at the beginning of the postseason. So I'll pat myself on the back for that one. I think it's like the most exciting one we could have gotten. I think when I talk about Detroit, Colton, I do think we're going to have some similar things to say about them. So I'll hold off on them for now. But just considering like what we saw during the regular season and what we've been seeing now, these are the 2 teams that are playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference. So it's good to see them squaring off here. Now, what do I think will happen? I guess we'll wait till the pick 'em to talk about that. But I think, like you said, it's the we did it. It's the we actually did it bowl. I think that's a really good way to put it because these are 2 teams that were supposed to be here. They stumbled a little bit, but they found their way eventually. And I think I'm not going to say the right matchup, but the best matchup we could have gotten given the circumstances. So I'm really excited for the Eastern Conference Finals. Unfortunately, I do think it is essentially the consolation bracket, if I'm being soberly honest. I just don't know if either one of those teams could hang with either one of the teams that's on the Western Conference. So, but yeah, still looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good series. It could get pushed to 7 games. Just depends on which version of James Harden shows up, really. I think if it's the James Harden that has been showing up these last few games for Cleveland, I have no idea how it could go because he's been so wildly inconsistent this playoffs. But I think if James Harden shows up, the Cavs can win. But if he doesn't, then I think the Knicks will run away with it.
Yeah, for me, I have been on the Knicks Kool-Aid for quite some time, and it's finally paying off this season. So that's good. Things I did want to shout out in that series, Mikal Bridges actually played well, 17 points per game, and didn't shoot worse than 55% in any of those games. So he finally played well in that series. Again, that first round series, wow, that was bad. So it's good to see he kind of played up to standards. Something that stood out was the defense from the Knicks guards. The 76ers guards shot terribly. Maxey only scored over 20 once, and Edgecombe only scored over 12 once. Also, Embiid missed 1 game and had to go up against Cat, defending him and then trying to score on Mitchell Robinson. So all around, total domination from the Knicks, and something that I think they will take into the Eastern Conference Finals. But it just seems like every time we had this thought that, oh, maybe there's a little rust there. Nope. The Knicks just keep showing up and they keep making statements. So again, we'll save that for the NBA pick'em, but not expecting much to change, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Colton, what's your thoughts on these Pistons?
So to give that little spiel on the Pistons, and Logan, I'm sure we do have a pretty similar take here. And I think it's the one glaring thing that really held this team back, other than they kind of got bullied on the inside a bit there by Allen and Mobley. But it's genuinely Cade Cunningham on an island. Like, other than a Karis LeVert and Denise Jenkins legacy game, which they had like 20-some points, it was Tobias Harris was the only thing helping out Cade Cunningham. Cade had a 40-point game, and they still lost. Both of those legacy games I mentioned, Karis LeVert and Denise Jenkins, were losses. Cade needs something else on offense. And I'm not shout out Tobias Harris, first of all. I didn't think I'd ever be saying that after the year he had at Philly his last year. But shout out Tobias Harris, because he's actually generally put in a great playoff performance in year 15. But it's year 15. You want to expect him to come back year 16 and do the same thing? 17, 18? Like, I don't think you can rely on that. So yeah, I think just plain and simple, we need something else offensively. Jalen Duren, good over there, bro. You're I don't know, man.
Yikes.
I don't know. He's gotta figure that out ASAP Ferg. But yeah, I feel like I probably said what everyone was thinking.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I have written down here new second option for the Pistons under that headline here on my notes. But what I wanted to talk about with the Pistons was essentially what you just said, right? It's not sustainable basketball when Tobias Harris is your second option in the playoffs. It's just not. A lot of guys aren't showing up. Like, sorry, but if Ausar Thompson is averaging less than 10 points per game in the playoffs, I know that's not exactly his main objective, but he's still got to do something more than that.
Don't you mean
right?
Amen Thompson? Because he was playing for sure. That's what the Twitterverse says.
Ah, that's good. That's good. But like Cade Cunningham played great, averaged 28, 5, and 7.5 in what was a solid playoffs for him. But other than that, I mean, there was really nothing. Like Tobias Harris showed up and did what he could, but what he could was not what was needed for the second option in this playoff series, right? So, and Jalen Duren, oh my gosh, just like you said, he got bullied. Like he just didn't show up as much as he needed to. And for someone who we've seen like putting up disgusting rebound numbers all year, just absolutely bodying people, for him to show up in the playoffs and lay down like that, that needs to be addressed at some point through this next season. But I compare this Pistons team, right, 1 seed going out in the semifinals. I see a lot of like 2024 OKC Thunder vibes with this team, right? Young team. Nobody expected them to be the 1 seed this year. They come into the playoffs. They get a good first-round win. Maybe the Thunder had a bit of an easier time with the Pelicans that year than the Pistons did with the Magic, so maybe we should have seen some warning signs there. But then they go out and they face a team that essentially just had more playoff experience. And that's sometimes just what it comes down to. They ran into the Cavs, and the Cavs kind of made them go out sad in that last game. A 30-point win in Game 7 is never what you want to see. So now I think it's time for them to address those issues, right? Like Oklahoma City did. They unfortunately cut the dead weight of Josh Giddey and went and got Alex Caruso, who immediately impacted winning. Right? There wasn't enough ball to go around for Josh Giddey, so they needed someone who didn't need the ball to be dominant. So now I think what needs to happen with the Pistons is they need to identify who their secondary scorer is going to be and go out and make a trade or make a signing that is going to upgrade that level of offense they have so that they can perform better on the offensive side of the ball. Because with the offense that I saw in this series, you'll never make it past the conference semifinals.
Yeah, the thing I think we're not acknowledging is the Pistons were up 2-0 in this series. Both double-digit wins. You can't lose after that. You certainly can't lose when playoff James Harden is on the other side of the court as well. Obviously, playoff riser Donovan Mitchell is on the team, so maybe a little PIMDAS there, canceling each other out. But after you go up 2-0 in that series and prove yourself coming back in that first round, you just can't let this happen. Shouting out to people you all have already shouted out. Cade Cunningham has played in 20 playoff games now. He has only scored under 20 in 2 of them. So 18 out of 20 games over 20 points. And Tobias Harris, check the tape, maybe his biggest hater right here, but 8 straight games scoring 20 plus in these playoffs after not scoring back-to-back 20 plus in the regular season at all. So maybe potential playoff riser at least this season. So
playoff riser,
shout,
Tobias Harris.
shout out those two for sure. But Jalen Duren lost himself a ton of money. Let's see, single digits in 4 of those 7 games after averaging 19 in the regular season, and then had 5 fouls in 2 of those games. So not good on the defense either. Pick a side at least. If you're going to be bad on one, be great on the other. He didn't either. He also had 3 turnovers in 3 of those games. You don't need those type of turnover numbers from somebody in the post. Just looks really bad. The Pistons need a second option, as you all have said. I heard maybe marketing. We'll see, but they definitely need something because it's not looking great right now.
I like that marketing.
All right,
I like
marketing, yeah.
Logan, you got anything else?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk more on the point that Colton brought up with the Knicks and having that long break. The rest versus Russ argument always comes up, especially in the NBA, I feel like. Because you can talk about it with like teams in the NFL that get the 1 seed and they get just a week bye. You already have a bye during the season. And then the MLB, there's also buys there. But for this, the NBA, I mean, it's 8 teams on each side and everyone's playing the same amount of series as you continue to go through. What comes into that, though, is not every series goes 7 games. So for a team like the Knicks to have a 4-game sweep and then have that much time off and go immediately into playing a Cavs team that just came fresh off of 7 games, it's interesting. It's interesting. And for the last one to be a blowout for the Cavs, too. Those starters get some rest there at the end of the game, which I think is an underrated aspect of that. It's not like they played 48 minutes. Like they got their break at the end there. So, and on the other side too as well, OKC with a 4-game sweep of the Lakers. Sorry, I just needed a little dramatic pause there. Going up against the San Antonio Spurs, who just came off of a 6-game series against the Wolves. The Spurs' legs are probably a little bit fresher than the Thunder's. Obviously, I don't know, what goes into their practice and who's been training and who's been doing this and that to work on their conditioning during that downtime. But I think it's more of a mental aspect almost for you to play that many games. You get 4 wins for both the Knicks and the Thunder. To get those 4 wins and then all of a sudden have to turn around and just hurry up and wait, right? With no idea who you're going to be playing until that last game and no idea when you're going to be playing next. So I think it makes me a little bit nervous, like as a Thunder fan, just because like you don't know what to expect from that rust aspect. They could just come out and score 150 points in game 1 and it's not a problem. But there is always that unknown. And I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that. Do you think that there is a direct correlation between the long wait time and maybe a slow game 1 performance? Or where do you guys see that?
Colton?
I feel it kind of just depends upon the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were to pick a team that it would affect more in like this conference final situation, I would think the Knicks. I think the Thunder. Y'all have made a deep playoff run or 2 before, so I guess really this is the second one, but you guys made the conference finals the year before. Never mind, doesn't matter. Besides the point, I feel like you guys are a younger team that just kind of defies things like that. The Knicks, I also think will probably be fine, but I would say I would be a little more cautious about them, especially considering they got there was an extra day in there, but also just the Knicks themselves being a team that's been inconsistent throughout the season as well. I think that maybe plays a little more into it as a team that, yeah, they have hot streaks and cold streaks. Well, probably going off a couple of days you just don't know what team is going to show up. So I would say it's more based on the team than it is like a consistent theme, but I'm sure there's some correlations you could find for both sides there.
Yeah, for sure. I think coaching definitely makes a big difference in that. If you're ready no matter what, then it really doesn't matter. I think the biggest thing it affects is, as you kind of alluded to, Logan, is preparation. The Thunder getting a couple days, and the Knicks getting basically 1 day to prepare for this next matchup. So not a great looks in terms of preparation and being ready for that game one. To be fair, the other teams are getting the same amount of preparation, but if you've already played and are ready, you're kind of just jumping right into it. There's no break. You're kind of ready and already prepared and amped for that. Whereas you're trying to prepare for a team you didn't know until uh, a day in advance, basically, when you're on the rest side. So I think the teams that are resting again will be fine, but there's correlation with it if there's only correlation I feel like if the coaches don't have the teams prepared, and I don't think either of these teams are going to struggle with that. So it may be more of a coaching thing than really a rest or rust thing, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if that's all you all have, I was just going to quickly dive into WNBA opening weekend and a couple things I noticed before we get to our next segment. The first and the second team in the league right now, the Aces, I'll talk about first, lose by 33 on ring night and kind of get to that point where you're like, oh no, here we go again. And then they win 4 straight road games, 2 of which by almost 30, the big 3 playing like they always do. And Alyssa Smith getting those minutes from Kirsten Bell at the beginning of the season instead of near the end of the season like last year, and double-digit scoring in 3 of those 5 games. So the Aces are on the correct trend instead of the scary one that it looked like it could be after a 33-point loss on opening night. Phoenix is only win of the season as well. But anyways, second in the league are the Liberty, 3-1 despite Sabrina not yet playing a game. Stewie and JJ balling out as usual. Thought they may miss Cloud with Sabrina out, but nope. And why do they not miss her? Rookie Pauline Astier is averaging 17, 4, and 4. Not only that, averaging 2 steals per game, shooting 62% from the field and 45% from 3. The shocker of the season so far, in my opinion, because I don't think she was high on many draft boards. Obviously, with the limited amount of teams, draft boards are a little different. But the Liberty are the surprise. I expected the Aces to kind of do what they are doing. The Liberty are the surprise for me, especially with Sabrina out, not having Cloud. Do either one of those teams stand out to you all? Logan, I'll go to you first.
I mean, we could talk about the Aces all day, right? I had that written down in my notes. If I'm being honest, the Aces are going back to back. Like this team, I saw what I saw in that opening game was a 33-point loss, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a bit uncharacteristic, right?" But then for them to go win 4 straight road games, with 2 of them being pretty convincing wins, albeit one of them was against the Connecticut Sun, who I will bring up later. Don't worry. But I want to talk about how Kennedy Carter is just the perfect addition for this Aces team. And I mean, who could have seen that coming? I mean, she's essentially coming back after a full year off of the W and stepping up big time as a legitimate second scoring option to A'ja Wilson, right? That's going to take some heat off of A'ja Wilson, who, averaging 25 and 5, it's just something casual for her, right?
Decent, I guess.
It's blessed to be able to watch the GOAT during my era, but Kennedy Carter, I mean, I don't know if I expected this, right? I mean, she's always been a solid player, but she's taken her game to another level here, and I think her being surrounded by a lot of top-tier talent in the WNBA is going to help her a lot. And if she can sustain this, I don't know if there's a team out there that can compete with the Aces in a series in the playoffs. So I do firmly believe that the Aces will go back-to-back. And then I do want to mention the Connecticut Sun and the fact that they are going out sad in their final year in Connecticut. This is not the way that you want to have your last lap as a team. They're getting tossed around right now. This is it's hard to watch, unfortunately. But I'm excited for the WNBA to return to Houston. But if this is going to be the product, it might take a few years to
might leave Houston again.
Yeah, exactly.
Houston has a problem, and it's the start of it.
Yeah, for
Colton, any
sure.
thoughts on WNBA opening weekend
So
or week? I guess now.
my overreaction was going to be the Aces. So I was incredibly wrong about them. 4-1 after their ugly first loss, but winning their last four. And Carter has been really impressive. I did see that she had a little post game moment where she didn't seem too thrilled to not be finishing the game. That was the main reason she was out last year, was off the court issues. So seeing that pop up 5 games in is concerning. I think that's really the one thing that could stop this team. But yeah, like Logan said, my overreaction to switch on you, I guess, would be definitely the Aces going back to back, and AJ going back to back MVP.
Yeah, could definitely happen. Does voter fatigue set in? Who knows? But it doesn't seem like it does in the WNBA because they're an ethical league. But anyways, we won't get into that. The perfect segue into our next segment where we were going to talk about overreactions, because no better time than WNBA opening week. Do you all have any more, or did you all talk about them already?
I got one. That
Okay.
I actually just came up with right now.
Okay.
And it's based on the offensive numbers I've seen so far and the performance that I've been able to witness. But I think the Toronto Tempo make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
I absolutely think
that was my second one.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I think they make the playoffs. Brittany Sykes coming out of the gates, averaging 24, 4, and 4. Really, really solid as the primary scoring option. Marina Mabry's averaging 18 a game right now. This team has the offense, I think, to be able to compete. I don't know if their defense is as good, but they have the offense, I think, that can carry them to the playoffs. Now, if they can make some noise in the playoffs, I'm not too sure, but not only do I think it would be a cool storyline, but I think it's entirely possible that Toronto could show up to the playoffs this year.
One can say they have the offensive tempo.
I see what you did there.
If you're scoring 1 billion points, I guess it doesn't matter how your defense looks.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, mine was a little more focused on Brittany Sykes, who is having a field day with the tempo right now. She's been a long time defensive juggernaut in the W, but is averaging 24 points per game to start the season. Just had a 38-point explosion versus the Sparks last night. Coming off an all-star season, it'd be kind of weird to give her most improved player, but she has improved like insanely so far, at least on the offensive end. Also, I'm not a big fan of the Tempo logo. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm all about the vibes, but that logo, the jerseys,
that New Balance logo, yeah, get it out of here.
Yeah. Like jerseys are cool. I mess with the jerseys, but the logo,
it's bad.
Portland showed how to do an expansion logo. Like that's a solid logo they got out there in Portland. But that Tempo logo, you said it best. It just looks like a New Balance logo. Like I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, the only things I had were I'd like to pat myself on the back because Kennedy Carter, I did see this coming. One of my overreactions is she will run away with 6th player of the year. The player exiled from the league last season, sure, maybe some off the court issues, but we don't see that keeping people out of the league in the NBA. Maybe it's a problem of WNBA not having enough teams, so you have to hit on each and every player that you have, basically. So I guess less risk you could take in the WNBA, but shout out expansion. So maybe we get more of these players with a light shined on them. But anyways, Kennedy Carter had career highs in the league in basically every statistical category before she was exiled from the league. And she led the Chinese league in scoring in her season off. And now she plays for the defending champion. Awesome. She is averaging 19 points per game and 2 steals per game. Not the most impressive thing, I don't think, because she's shooting 71% from the field. When you have to play Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, and then, we get a break. It's Kennedy Carter shooting 70% from the field and being a demon on both sides of the court. Great. Cool. Awesome. The Aces just keep getting better. Shame on you, Indiana, for not signing her this year, last year, any of it. which leads to my next point. The Fever will miss the playoffs. I said this early in terms of the Aces last season, so maybe a little biased jinx here that I'm trying to perform, but who knows? They've looked bad though. 2-2 so far. 2 wins against a bad Seattle and a bad Sparks team. They're allowing 105 points in their losses. They have scored below 90 in their wins and above 100 in their losses. Didn't get those backwards. Below 90 in the wins and above 100 in the losses. That sounds like a team that's lost. Ty Harris, a great offseason addition. I really like how she's utilized in that backup point guard spot. Maisha Hines Allen and Monique Billings can't make a shot to save their lives. So there's a big problem in the post, especially when Demiris Dantas is not getting minutes, even though she's the best, second best big. And the thing that has stood out the most to me with the Fever is Lexi Hull averaging 3 points per game and Sophie Cunningham averaging 7. Two huge contributors to last year's team, just not producing anywhere close to the level they were last season. So it's not looking good right now. And if this team doesn't figure it out, they're not making the playoffs. But either one of those stand out to you?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the Fever. I was actually just briefly looking over Caitlin Clark's recent numbers. She's hooping. Caitlin Clark is doing what she does best. And I personally think if the Fever can pick it up and some more wins start coming and they actually have a decent season, and Caitlin Clark's scoring numbers go up a tiny bit, I think if she can outscore Asia Wilson this year, she has a legitimate MVP case. If she can will this Fever team to the playoffs and be that best player and be that best scorer in the league, she's already leading the league in assists. She's already off to a good start in that aspect. But if she can finish like as a top 3 scorer while being on this team that she will to the playoffs, I think she's going to have some serious MVP consideration. Now, that's a huge if, just because of the performance that the Fever have put up so far this season. Nothing I've seen has led me to believe that they can make the playoffs. But I think if everyone can pick it up and everyone can start to do their part, because it can't just be her. It cannot just be a 1-on-5 out there. But we will see. I think that's going to be a storyline I watch pretty close all year. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is super fun to watch, and this is I think going to be a really, really big year for her, where she takes that next step to this next level of being a WNBA superstar.
Yeah, to you guys' point, I hope and think it's a really slow start. Defensively, I'm not sure about that, but when you mentioned, key players not scoring as much, but Caitlin Clark still has the most assists of anybody so far this season. I feel like that's an interesting thing, and if those guys can get scoring, then assists should only go up, right? So. I think that's a sign that there is greener pastures for the Fever. It is early. Like you said, we did this dance with the Aces last year and it ended up pretty well. So maybe we'll do that dance with the Fever this year.
Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have been balling, so let's not talk poorly of them, but the rest of the team around them is not playing well, and it's looking rough so far. Hopefully it gets better. We'll see. But that will do it for our overreactions. Now it's time for for our NBA Pick'em, where this week we are picking our winners for the conference finals. Fellas, we're going to start with the consolation bracket, as we've alluded to already, the Knicks and the Cavs. Logan, I'll go to you first. So you got?
Yeah, I know I mentioned briefly that if James Harden shows up and plays how we know he can play, I think the Cavs can make this a series. But I realistically, I feel like I have to go with what has been, a consistent theme, and what has been consistent is James Harden's inconsistency. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm taking the Knicks in 6 games, just because I don't know what version of James Harden we're going to see, but I feel like I do know what version of the Knicks we're going to see. And it's going to be the version of the Knicks that has been winning games and doing it pretty convincingly. So I think the Knicks continue this run into the finals. Again, did pick that in my pre-playoffs bracket. So I think it's possible. I think the Knicks take it in 6.
Cool.
Yeah. So Logan, we might have like just copied each other's script. We've been pretty on par. I also have the Knicks in 6. So I think this could stretch to 7, but like you said, I think the Cavs are much more reliant on a James Harden to show up or a Sam Merrill to drop 23 and outside stuff like that. Whereas I think the Knicks will be able to, first of all, combat that with their great defense and their physicality, which is something that the Pistons kind of had over the Cavs had over the Pistons a little bit, which was surprising. But I feel as though, I think the Knicks have it in this series. They could honestly win it in 5, I think, even. But I'm going to go with 6. I'll give the Cavs. I'll give D. Mitch the benefit of the doubt here. And maybe if he can get a game or 2 out of James Harden, this does go to 7. But give me the Knicks in 6 for the consolation.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to evaluate how the series might go because they've only played once since the James Harden trade. The Cavs won that game by 15. James Harden, exceeding expectations, I would say, in these playoffs, had a great game 3 through 5 in the last series, and you can argue a great game 6. Turnovers may change your mind, efficiency may change your mind, but nonetheless, those points are getting put on the board. Donovan Mitchell might be the best playoff riser of all time, and the Cavs have size with Mobley and Allen. Saying all that, I have the Knicks in 5. Knicks have a plethora of options to throw at James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. If any of the rest beat the Knicks, I think the Knicks just say good game, good fight, whatever. Don't think they will. I think James kind of resorts back to the mean here in this series, and that inefficiency and those turnovers from a very good defensive Knicks team starts to get the best of him. And Cleveland also doesn't run deep on the bench. They played 3 guys, I think, in most of their games in this last series off the bench. The Knicks run very deep off the bench. And so I'm very interested to see how those different minutes go. I think the Knicks are going to be very well rested no matter what game it is in the series. So I got the Knicks in 5. I don't think this one is going to be that close. Logan, any extra thoughts? Seems like you're pondering something. I don't know.
Nope, pondering what I'm going to say for the next one. Don't worry.
Okay. All
Proceeds
right.
to get the OKC logo. I do want to say, if you saw my reaction, that was based on, I was like, is he going to go Cavs on this one? And then he goes Knicks in 5, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Just had to give that good build up. Got to give the Cavs their flowers. They finally beat the playoff curse that they seem to have since LeBron left, but still not going to get it done in this one, I don't think. And now for the NBA Finals, basically, we have the OKC Thunder versus the San Antonio Spurs. Logan, we're going to go to you last. So, Colton, I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah, we'll save Logan for that. So this finals, or this conference finals, but finals, if we're being honest, is that's a clip that could age poorly in a couple weeks if one of the Eastern Conference teams.
I know that's the worst possible outcome.
That would be. Oh man, we'll have quite the highlight reel to display after that. But no, this is going to be absolute cinema. The Thunder and Spurs series was the Spurs and Timberwolves series was absolute cinema. I think this is going to be just as entertaining. But I think this is where the Spurs experience or lack thereof will come to bite them. The Thunder have made the run to the finals literally just last year. They have the same team intact. They have not looked any weaker. I know the Spurs have had their number in the regular season, but how many times that happened to like a LeBron-led team and then they just swept them? So I don't think the Thunder are going to sweep the Spurs. Let me be clear. I think this does. I'm going to keep it at 6 again. I got the Thunder winning this one in 6 and moving on to the NBA Finals. So back-to-back MVP, back-to-back NBA Finals. Simple as that.
I'll go ahead and go. This is the finals we've been waiting for. The Spurs 1-1 in the regular season, and 3-1 really, because one of those games was against the OKC Hospital Crew. So I'm really not counting that one. But you got all types of asterisks in this regular season series. Restricted minutes for Wemby in a couple of the games. Shea didn't play in a couple of the games. AJ Mitchell didn't play in a couple of the games. So it's really a clean slate in this series. Both impressive in the semis. Spurs faced a tougher opponent, especially with Luka out. And I feel like the Spurs kind of dominated. They won a 1-5 if Wemby doesn't become Ron Artest. But shout out the Spurs for still getting it done. Spurs is the better shooting team in my opinion, but OKC the better defense. I'd argue the Spurs have the better starters, but OKC has the better bench. But for me, I have the Spurs in 6. I think Wemby takes the Chet matchup personally. I think the Spurs guards have played beyond that experience and their years, and I think the Spurs are incredibly great at packing the paint, which the Thunder, that's where they like to get a majority of their points. So I think the Spurs are the recipe to finally get it done, finally put a rain, this rain that the Thunder have had these last 2 seasons to an end. Wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong. I think if the Thunder win, they win in 7, but it's going to be a great series no matter what. Logan, who you got?
So I first want to mention, you talked about the Wemby Chet matchup, and I just have to talk about how that's like the most manufactured player-on-player rivalry ever. I don't think either of those two actually like have a problem with each other, but they're both 7+ foot guys that have thin frames, and I guess they just wanted to go ahead and make that a thing. Well, I think they're two great players. Obviously, I can't really be considered a rivalry, right? Like Chet is a second or third option, and Wemby's the first. So that's kind of hard for me to do. But I think there's just going to be a lot of blocks this series, a lot of shots getting sent into the third row. And what I look at when I look at this is my first glaring question mark is the health of De'Aaron Fox. Mm-hmm. He did head to the locker room in Game 6. He's listed as questionable tonight. I just don't know, if he's going to be healthy enough to be consistent this series or what that looks like for the Spurs. And I think it comes down to bench play. I think these starting lineups are comparable, especially given the fact that the Thunder just, like I said, in a 4-game sweep with the Lakers, they did it without their all-star, all-NBA, all-defense forward in Jalen Williams. Now, with him returning to the lineup, he's not on the injury report at all. And it's something I saw a lot of. The Thunder don't need Jalen Williams to play 82 regular season games. They just need him to show up and play his best ball in the playoffs. And I think that's going to be a big X factor for the Thunder. And I think the X factor for the entire series is going to be the bench play, where you get to see some of the best bench players in the NBA, the literal one in Keldon Johnson, also followed up with AJ Mitchell returning back to a reserve role, but you saw what he was able to do against the Lakers. Like AJ Mitchell has that in him. I was getting excited last year in the finals against the Pacers, seeing meaningful AJ Mitchell playoff minutes, right? Because I knew what was coming. He's the Belgian beast. He's a great hooper, and I personally think it's going to come down to bench play because obviously. Western Conference Finals, starters can't play 48 minutes a game, as much as I think we'd like them to for the fireworks that they can provide for this series. It's going to come down to bench play, and the Thunder's bench unit has just been playing so well all year, especially on the defensive end of the ball, right? You just get done getting guarded by Lou Dort. Well, guess what? Your next matchup is Cason Wallace, and you're getting switched on to Alex Caruso. So I think that's going to continue to be the case, especially if De'Aaron Fox is going to be limited. So Picking the series to end in 6 games feels too safe to me. I'm going to go with Oklahoma City in 5.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Confident.
Things that did stand out to me, speaking of about asterisks in the regular season, Jalen Williams played in more of those games than SGA did. So that was weird to see. So, again, clean slate in this series. Very excited to see how it turns out. But I don't think we could look at the regular season numbers at all. I'm just looking at how the Spurs have played. And maybe you're right about the manufacturer thing. I think Wemby just takes everything personally, and
that's fair.
Haven't seen that really from a player. Haven't really seen that from a player in quite a while, so it's refreshing and nice to see. Mm-hmm. But very excited again. Yeah, we're recording this on Monday morning, so very excited for this series to start tonight. But could see either one going on. Either way, fellas, we're winners because we get to watch this basketball. Well, I mean, Logan might be a little upset if one result happens, but it's going to be fun basketball.
Hey,
but that will.
Harrison Barnes has the most playoff experience on that team. Don't discount it.
That's true. Somebody who has declined this season, but that's okay. Maybe the playoffs are where he shines. But anyways, we will go ahead and move on to our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who you got?
I'll keep it pretty simple. I'll go back-to-back MVP SGA Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, becoming the 14th to do it back-to-back. Jokic being the most recent one. You guys probably know some names on that list out there. So yeah, shout out SGA. I was arguing Luka, but I can't sit here and act like he didn't deserve it, obviously. So shout out.
I think if Luka can be more consistently healthy and could actually like remain healthy for a full season, he'd have multiple MVPs already. I think it's just like he puts up numbers, but I don't think he plays enough games typically to be considered for it half the time. So, but I know I gave Caitlin Clark a shout out. So if there was a WNBA version of my shooting star, I'd definitely pick Caitlin Clark. She's been hooping, but I want to give my props to Donovan Mitchell. For being that steady hand for the Cavaliers. And even for a down game where he only scored 18 points in game 6, he came right back and had 26, 6, and 8 in game 7. Has been the driving force behind this Cavs team's success, including a 43-point outburst in game 4, where I believe, didn't he have 39 points in the second half? Or was that 39? Yeah. So,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
39. Yep.
39 points in the second half. So, even when he starts off a game not great, you can't discount him in the playoffs. So I'm going to give Donovan Mitchell my shooting star of the week.
I like that. Definitely not the way I thought you were going, but I like it. But you'll have more time for that other shooting star, I'm sure. Mine is Wemby, who in his first playoffs became only the third player in NBA history to have a playoff triple-double with blocks. In the same game, he set the all-time single-game playoff record for blocks with 12. He also became the fourth player to have 35, 15, and 5 in playoff history. The others were Hakeem, Kareem, and Shaq. Wemby also shot 70% in that game, better than any of those did in their games of that stat line. So shout out Wemby in his first playoffs doing unthinkable things. Deserves his flowers for sure. So he gets my shooting star this week. And that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks, Colton and Logan, for being on. You all be sure to follow the show's YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. You can follow me on Twitter at The Will Dill, Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. And Logan on all socials at Logan H_4. So thanks, everyone, for listening and watching. And until next week, like Shay's inevitable MVP caption, be smooth.